So what should be the size of the Jama'ah? How large what's the minimum? What's the minimum? In order to meet that Farda Kifaya, how much should we have? Is 2 enough? Or
No, 3 minimum.
3 Jama'ah is 3. At least 3 people, including Imam. Including Imam, 3 people you have to have in order to meet Farda Kifaya. What's the evidence for it? The same thing last time we mentioned. The person who died and Prophet Muhammad prayed in their house. Who was he? Who remembers? We discussed this last time. He prayed in their house, Salatul Janazah. That was the house of Abu Talha and Sulaim, and their son died. So, and in that house, what happened? Prophet Muhammad was leading the prayer. Abu Talha was behind him, and Sulaim, radiallahu anha, she was behind him. So the total 3 people. So that's the evidence the scholar give. You have at least 3 people. But what's the preferred number? How many should we have? 10, 15, 20? What's the best? So we have 2 hadith regarding this. One said, if there are 100 people in the Jama'ah, if there are 100 people, their intercession is granted. Whatever they're requesting for, it's given for them. So you got to have that number. But in another hadith it says, 40 men, if 40 men pray, then intercession for him is granted, but the condition that comes in this hadith is that they didn't join anything with Allah. That means they didn't commit shirk. Sincerity and all those deeds, they were very good. So 40 people is sufficient. Otherwise, 100 people if they pray, this will be sufficient for the intercession to be accepted. So we should aim for it. Try to go for bigger places. Maybe some people are like, oh, I'll just pray in the local masjid. But if your local masjid, you might have washing and shrouding facility. But if only 10-15 people show up, it's not the best thing that you can do for the deceased. As we said last time, the best thing that you can do for the person who died is the Salatul Janazah. That's the most benefiting point. Other things but this is the moment that the deceased is waiting for, to get your du'as, to get that forgiveness. So we should try and form a bigger Jama'ah, preferably in the musalla, call people and community members, and they can pray. Last point is traveling for the prayer itself. So can we do that? Can we travel for Salatul Janazah? For example, somebody maybe calls now one night, and from California they'll say, hey, your friend died, close friend. By the way, we are praying Salatul Janazah and maybe tomorrow Dhuhr. So if you want to come and join, that's great. So you take a flight and you go. So you're basically traveling. Is it allowed? Obviously it's allowed. But why am I mentioning this point? You can go there and pray Salatul Janazah, but there are a few things that we have to know. For few things we cannot travel. We are not allowed to travel. One of those things is visiting the grave. So you go to California, just visit the grave and come back. In Sharia, Islamic law, it's not allowed. You cannot do that. We'll cover it when you go to graves. Basically, it leads to shirk and all those things, giving very special preference. Prophet Muhammad said that this should be avoided. Who leads the Janazah prayer? This is the same ruling as the other prayer as well. The ruler or the designated person of the ruler or governor or the imam assigned for the masjid, they are the first preference. They should lead the prayer. Sometimes what happens is that out of emotion, a relative of a person leads, but the right person to lead is the imam. It was the opinion of Imam Ibn Hazm that he said that a relative is more preferred, but all other scholars, all imams, they said that the imam should lead. And if that imam, there's no assigned imam, or if he's not present, then the one who memorized more Quran should lead the prayers. It means both. Some scholars said that who memorized more, or some people say that those who have very good understanding of Quran. Both of them applies. And third one is that if nobody memorized, who has more knowledgeable of Sunnah, knows what is the fiqh rulings and the hadith and various things related to that. And in earlier generation, they used to have this criteria as well. One who made hijrah first, who went to Medina first, or who went to Abyssinia first. That was the hijrah that they made. So they would determine, and they had more priority if they were earlier Muslims. And same thing, earliest in Islam, if somebody converted to Islam earlier, they get the preference. That's one way. Next. When should we pray Salatul Janazah? When can we pray and when we cannot pray? So there are different times that we need to be aware of. The Nawafil prayers that we know, the voluntary prayers, we can stand up any time and pray, right? Right now, like it's what? After Maghrib and before Isha, can we pray Nawafil prayers right now? We can pray, not a problem. We can just stand and pray 2 rakah quickly, no problem. So, but there are times when the Nawafil prayers, I have 2 columns here. One is the Nawafil voluntary prayers, another one is Janazah prayer. There are some times that you cannot pray the Nawafil prayers. What are those times? First thing, after Fajr Salah until the start of sunrise. So you completed your first Salah with the Imam, and now the sunrise is maybe 20-30 minutes left. Until that point, you cannot pray any voluntary prayers. Once the sun rises up to spear's height, the second one, until even that time is prohibited, until the sun is like up to spear's height. Even that time is prohibited. After that you can pray. That becomes which prayer? If you pray after spear's height length, Ishraq. That's what the salat is called. And then another point where you're not allowed to pray the regular Nawafil prayers is when the sun is right at the top of your head, like zenith we call it, the highest point of the sun. And that point you're not allowed. That's the hadith. And until what point? When it starts descending. After like few minutes, 5-10 minutes, it starts descending. That period you cannot pray. So that is prohibited. We'll cover all the evidences when we cover the fiqh of salah someday, inshallah. And then after Asr Salah, so you prayed Asr with the Imam, and now you want to pray Nawafil prayers? No, you cannot pray. You have to wait until Maghrib Salah. You have to wait till Maghrib Salah. And then the last one is from starting of sunset. So before Maghrib it's sunset, right? So you see the sun now, it's setting up. So you see the disc, that circular disc, it's like full circular, and then it becomes semicircular, and then it completely goes away. So during that setting time, until you see no disc at all, that time is prohibited. That maybe takes another 10 minutes of time. That is prohibited. But if you talk about Janazah prayer, there's sometimes that is permissible. Okay, one question. Can you pray Janazah prayer, or do you have to pray Janazah prayer immediately after Fard Salah? Do you have to, or can you pray anytime? Anytime you can pray. Mostly, usually, people pray after some Fard prayers because you get more congregation and people are collected together. So that is fine. But you can pray anytime. So, but there are some times you see here, after you pray Fajr Salah, you still maybe 15-20 minutes remaining for sunrise. The Nawafil is prohibited, but you can still pray Janazah prayer. That's not a problem. But if the sun is rising, then you got to be careful now. You cannot do it. You cannot pray Janazah prayer even that time. And same thing with other cases. But after Asr Salah, this again it is allowed. It is okay. But all other situation is very similar to the other prayers. But the scholars say that if you pray immediately after Asr, that's better. Do not wait like long time, half an hour, 1 hour after the prayer. But it's no strong evidence. But still, it's permissible to